Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about retiring early, specifically what number you need to hit and how to figure out what that number is for you before you know that you're able to retire early. I'm Melissa Ford. Welcome to the Damsel of Success, where we talk about all things money. Please be sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video every single Wednesday. So I am kind of big into this movement called the FIRE movement. And if you're not familiar with that, it stands for Financial Independence Retire Early. And it's basically a whole group of people who are setting it as their goal to retire early than the standard retirement age. And it's become kind of popular recently. The key part of the FIRE movement is those first two letters, F.I., which stands for financial independence. So we all know that in order to not have to work a job anymore, you have to reach financial independence, meaning that you can take care of yourself financially and don't require outside income in order to maintain your lifestyle. So how do you figure out how much money you need in order to retire? Well, the first thing that we need to figure out is what level of retirement you're going to be comfortable with. In the FIRE movement, there are basically three general levels of financial independence. There is number one, LeanFIRE or barista fire. And that means that you've reached a level of financial independence that allows you to cover your basic expenditures. No frills, no extras, but you could survive on this LeanFIRE amount. The next level of FIRE is FIRE. Just regular old FIRE. And that basically means that you're able to sustain your current standard of living, including any extras, travel, gift giving, all that kind of stuff that you typically enjoy that you don't necessarily need for survival, but adds to the enjoyment of your life at your current standard that you're living at right now. And the last level of FIRE is often referred to as FatFIRE. That basically means that you've managed to amass enough wealth that you're able to sustain a living standard that is higher than your current living standard today. The next thing that you need to understand in order to determine how much money you need to retire early is the 25x and 33x rules. The 25x rule basically states that you multiply your expenses per year times 25. And if you withdraw 4% of that money every single year, you should be able to live indefinitely on that lump sum amount. Now, I say that indefinitely with some caveats because we can't predict the future. We don't know what's going to happen next. So why am I so confident that the 25x number will work for me? Well, these numbers are based on something called the TRINITY study. And the TRINITY study modeled various retirement scenarios to find out what a safe annual withdrawal rate would be on invested assets after 30 years. These conclusions were developed modeling past market performance, so they don't guarantee future results. Those results have since been replicated by other analysts to extend the time frame to 50 years and update it with present-day market data. So based on the date when I'm planning to retire, I believe that 50 years worth of money will be plenty for me to work with. But if you're planning to retire significantly younger, say in your 20s or 30s, you might want to do some more digging into the TRINITY study and see if you expect those funds to last for you. Now, remember always that these should be considered rules of thumb and not absolute or definitive values. And if you'd like to dig in more on the TRINITY study, all you need to do is look in the description below. I've got some links to some great resources that will help you figure out more. So while I have done research that makes me pretty confident that that 4% withdrawal rate and the 25x number is a safe amount to save and be able to live off of indefinitely, that's something you should definitely do your own research on if you intend to go down this path. Because there are a lot of people who actually believe that the number should be 33x. So rather than calculating 25 times your annual expenses, you would calculate 33 times your annual expenses. And instead of withdrawing money at 4% per year, you would withdraw money at 3% per year. And that number is generally accepted to be the most conservative way to retire in the FIRE movement. I don't think there are many people out there in the FIRE movement who would disagree that retiring at at the 33x rule rate would be completely safe to retire at. But again, this is something that you should do your own research on, as you know, we can't tell the future and we have to all be comfortable with our own financial decisions. So please do some research before totally committing to any of these paths. So based on those rules, figuring out your retirement number is relatively simple. All you have to do is multiply your annual expenses by either 25 times or by 33 times, depending on your comfort level. Now, I do have a download for free that you're welcome to download that'll help you do that. You won't have to do any of the math. You can just put in your numbers and be done with it. And I will link that in the description below. Now, I would recommend that you actually calculate 6 different numbers, and that'll give you a range of acceptable amounts that you can target to be comfortable when you retire. The first thing that you need to figure out is how much you need to live on to meet that LeanFIRE number. So calculate what your basic expenses are, like I said before, no extras whatsoever, and then you're going to take that number and multiply it first by 25 and then multiply it by 33, and that should give you 2 LeanFIRE numbers. Next, you're going to calculate what your current expenses are. And keep in mind that these numbers that we've talked about, the 33x and 25x rule, are adjusted for inflation already. However, that inflation adjustment only begins at the point you retire or whenever you start to withdraw your retirement funds. Let's take a look at what that means. I've put together a scenario here based on a 3% annual inflation rate, and assuming that you want to retire on the equivalent of $50,000 a year in today's dollars. So that means if you retire today, you'd calculate your expenses at $50,000. But if you're retiring in 5 years, you'd calculate your expenses at $57,963. And in 10 years, you'd calculate your expenses at $67,195, which means that based on the 25x rule, if you retired today, you'd need $1,250,000. In 5 years, you'd need $1,449,075, and in 10 years, you'd need $1,679,875. Now that's a big difference, so it's really important to make sure that you're calculating your numbers based on when you're going to retire. So if you're planning to retire in 10 years, say, you probably want to figure your expenses as what they would be based on inflation 10 years from now. And like I said, that's something that my retirement calculator will do for you. But you're always welcome to do another internet search and find another inflation calculator that will give you the same numbers. So the next thing that you're going to take into account are your current expenses. So just add up what you currently spend in a year, not what you make, but what you spend in a year, and multiply that number by 25 and by 33. So you again have that mid-range, that FIRE number at both the 25x rule and the 33x rule. And last, what you're going to do is do a little bit of dreaming. What is your dream life within a little bit of reason? I like to think about this as, just adding a few luxuries to your life that would make you happy, or, certain things that you might have dreamed about. Maybe that's, a car, or traveling more, or a bigger house, or living in a different area. All of those things can factor into your expenses on an annual basis. And this FatFIRE number that you're trying to reach should account for those things. So in my case, I like to add in some spa services, a lot more travel than I'm doing right now, maybe living in a house that is a little bit closer to the water where I could take out my kayak every day. Those are the kinds of things that make me happy, and so those are the kinds of things that I would factor into my FatFIRE number. So when you finish with these calculations, you're going to have 6 numbers. So you're going to have your LeanFIRE number at both the 25 and 33x rules. You're going to have your FIRE number at both the 25x and 33x rules, and you're going to have your FatFIRE number at both the 25x and 33x rules. Now, why have I asked you to go to all the trouble of calculating all those numbers? Well, first of all, I'd like you to see the range that's available to you of living styles and safety nets that exist when you decide to retire early. And for all of us, our comfort level is going to be a little bit different, but it's really good to know the very bottom level and the top level of money that you could expect to need to save or earn in order to reach that level of financial independence. I find that super interesting, and hopefully you do too. But second, what I'd kind of like you to do is to associate some actions with those numbers. So for instance, you might feel comfortable, switching to a part-time work or pursuing a job that doesn't pay as much money, but that you're a lot more passionate about once you hit that LeanFIRE number at 25x. Or maybe for you, you'd like to start a business, but you need a lot of time to dedicate to it. And hitting either of those LeanFIRE numbers would give you the, confidence in your finances to be able to make that kind of a move. Or maybe you have kids and one of your goals is to spend more time with them. Well, maybe you'd be comfortable at that LeanFIRE number at 33x or at 25x, whichever one makes you comfortable, of scaling back your work to part-time or quitting your day job entirely, at least for that time period while your kids are still kids, and spending more time with them. Maybe you're the kind of person that really needs a more solid safety net. So you might not be comfortable quitting your job at the 25x FIRE number for regular FIRE. You might feel a lot more comfortable quitting your job at the 33x number. Or maybe luxury, having the extras in your life is so important to you that it's worthwhile for you to work a little bit longer to hit that FatFIRE number instead of retiring at the regular FIRE number. So it's really up to you what you decide to do with your financial independence once you reach it, and at what level you're comfortable doing different actions. And that is what this exercise is kind of meant for you to do, is to figure those things out. And the biggest reason I want you to figure those things out is because it gives you that perfect motivation. It makes you understand why you're reaching for these goals in the first place. And we all know that doing things without the proper motivation isn't really going to lead anywhere. So if you really want to hit financial independence, you've got to have a good reason, and you've got to know what your life is going to look like at that place when you finally hit your number. So have you done these calculations? Have you figured out for you, where you're going to be most comfortable and what you're going to do when you get there? I would love to hear what you're thinking about and what your plans are and what your dreams are. So leave me a comment down below. You don't have to tell me what number it is that you're trying to reach, but you could tell me, for instance, that, when you hit LeanFIRE, your goal is to, travel the world for a while. I'm really curious about what your plans are and what's motivating you to pursue financial independence. Tell me all about it. And like I said, I do have a retirement calculator that's available on my website. I'll put that link in the description below so that you can find it super easily. And that retirement calculator is actually way more robust than just telling you what your FIRE numbers are. It goes through a lot of other parameters that maybe you haven't thought through yet and gives you a really solid, refined target to pursue. So to make sure you know how to use it and it's really simple, I'm just going to put a link up here to a video that I put together that just shows you exactly how to use that retirement calculator. So hopefully that will answer your questions about how you can figure out what your early retirement number is. And, if you have any questions after watching this video, please put them in the comments below. I'm happy to respond and help in any way I can. But otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful week. I will see you next Wednesday with another video about finances and personal finance. So, please hit the like button if this video was helpful to you. That really helps me out a lot and helps me continue to make videos like this. And if you want to keep hearing about the FIRE movement and my FIRE progress and how you can track your progress and basically all things related to investment and personal finance, then please hit that subscribe button. I will post a video every single Wednesday. In the meantime, I will see you next week on Wednesday. Have a wonderful week. That is all for now. Bye-bye.